Back in May 1997, a machine did something that a lot of people thought was pretty much impossible. It beat Garry Kasparov, the reigning world chess champion, a guy who was seen as the absolute peak of human genius. But this wasn't just about a game of chess. This was a showdown over the very idea of intelligence itself. So, how did it all go down? Let's get into it. And you've got to understand, this wasn't just some headline in the sports section. This was a psychological earthquake. For the very first time, in a sanctioned high-stakes match, a machine conquered what we all considered the ultimate test of the human mind. The entire world was watching, and what they saw, well, it would change our relationship with technology forever.
So why chess? What made this game the battleground? Well, if you go all the way back to the dawn of AI, pioneers like Claude Shannon and Alan Turing, they saw chess as the perfect test. See, it's got clear rules, sure, but the complexity is just mind-boggling. We're talking more possible moves than there are atoms in the universe. The thinking was, hey, if a machine could actually conquer this, well then maybe it could actually think.
Now this moment didn't just pop up out of nowhere. For decades, computers were getting stronger and stronger. But the grandmasters, guys like Kasparov, with all their creativity and sheer force of will, they always managed to stay one step ahead. And then 1996 happened. Kasparov beat an earlier version of Deep Blue, but the machine actually took a game off him. It was a serious warning shot. So the rematch in '97, that wasn't just another game. It was being billed as the definitive man versus machine showdown. So what or who was Kasparov really up against? What was this thing called Deep Blue? It's so important to get this straight. This was not an AI like we think of today with ChatGPT and all that. No, this was something else entirely. Deep Blue's entire philosophy was just brute force. It wasn't built to think like a human, with intuition or these flashes of creative genius. Its one and only goal was to outcalculate a human, to look so far ahead into the future of the game, exploring so many possibilities, that even a mind like Kasparov's would just be completely overwhelmed.
And how much power are we talking about here? Just try to wrap your head around this number. 200 million. 200 million positions, not per game, not per minute, every single second. It's a scale our brains can't even really process. That raw, relentless, incredible speed was Deep Blue's ultimate weapon.
So how did it all work under the hood? Well, first off, it was a massive supercomputer, and it had these special computer chips designed just for playing chess. It used a specific kind of search algorithm to explore all those future moves, and its evaluation function, basically how it decided if a position was good or bad, that wasn't something it learned. It was hand-tuned, meticulously programmed, with the help of human chess grandmasters. On top of that, it had a huge library of opening moves and perfect knowledge for a ton of endgame scenarios.
And this right here, this is probably the most important distinction to make. Deep Blue was a machine built on handcrafted knowledge. You had human experts who basically programmed its intelligence right into it. But modern AI, stuff like AlphaGo, totally different ballpark. It starts with pretty much nothing and then learns strategy by playing millions and millions of games against itself. To put it simply, Deep Blue calculated, AlphaGo learned. And that difference, it's everything.
All right, let's get to the match itself, the main event. 6 games, played in New York City, with the entire world watching to see if humanity's greatest champion could hold the line against the machine. And there it is, the final score, 3.5 to 2.5. The machine won. But that number, it just doesn't even begin to tell the real story. The psychological drama, the tension that unfolded move by move over those 6 incredible games. After Game 1, you could almost hear the world breathe this huge collective sigh of relief. Kasparov won, and it seemed to confirm what everybody hoped was true, that human intuition, our creativity, could still beat out raw calculation. But that feeling of relief, yeah, it wasn't going to last.
Because what happened next wasn't just a technical shift in the match. It was a huge psychological turning point, and this is where the story gets really, really interesting. In the second game, Deep Blue made a move. It was strange. It was quiet. It was subtle. And it was so deeply strategic that it just stunned Kasparov. He couldn't make sense of it from a purely computational view. It felt intelligent. He started to believe he wasn't playing against a calculator. He was playing against something that was understanding the game on some kind of deep, almost alien level he couldn't grasp.
This machine is outplaying me. Can you imagine? For the first time in his life, Garry Kasparov felt truly outmatched. And you want to hear the crazy part, the incredible irony? Later analysis suggests that that brilliant, mysterious, mind-bending move, it might have just been a bug, a glitch in the system. But it didn't matter. The psychological damage was already done.
The next 3 games were these incredibly tense draws. You could just see the pressure building on Kasparov. And then, in the final, decisive 6th game, he just cracked. He went for a super risky opening, made a mistake you'd never expect from him, and Deep Blue just pounced, converting its advantage with cold, ruthless, machine-like precision. Just like that, the match was over.
So, the match was over. A machine had won, but its real impact, its true legacy, was only just beginning to unfold. So what did we really learn from those 6 games back in 1997?
Okay, so this victory mattered for a few big reasons. First, the symbolism was just huge. It was a very public defeat, a machine surpassing the best human in something we thought was uniquely ours. Second, it was a major proof of concept. It showed that this approach, combining massive computation with expert knowledge, actually worked. And third, it was a catalyst. It lit a fire under the whole field of AI, generating huge investment and public excitement.
Now, it's so important that we're clear about what Deep Blue wasn't. This was not some kind of general intelligence. This thing couldn't hold a conversation with you, it couldn't drive a car, heck, it couldn't even play checkers. It was an incredibly powerful but very, very narrow tool built for one single purpose: to play chess. There was no real understanding, no consciousness inside that box. But you can draw a straight line from that moment through AI history. In 1997, you have Deep Blue, the king of brute force. Almost 20 years later, in 2016, you get AlphaGo, which used a totally different approach, neural networks and self-learning, to beat the best player at Go, an even harder game. And that lineage leads directly to the generative AI we all use today. Deep Blue wasn't the end of the story. It was chapter 1.
You know, when you boil it all down, the most important legacy of that match was this simple, powerful realization. That sacred ground of human intellect, the stuff we thought made us special, it was suddenly reachable by a machine. The line in the sand that we'd all drawn had just been washed away.
And so, Deep Blue left us all with a brand new reality. The conversation was no longer about if a machine could beat us. We knew it could. The new question, the much deeper one, became, if a machine can beat us at our own most intellectual games, what does that really say about us? What is the true nature of our own intelligence? And honestly, that's the question we are all still trying to figure out today.